So I have a friend who is having kind of like a supernatural thing, and he literally was saying he was getting cursed or haunted today. We were talking on the phone. It was Kyle Regan. Do you know Kyle Regan?
I don't know.
He's a
Maybe
comedian in
by
Philadelphia. He's kind of big guy. But so I was talking to him on the phone today, and he was saying he had a dream last night. Tell me if this means anything, just if this strikes anything to yours. But he had a dream last night where he was bombing on stage in a very specific way, where he had made a sexual joke, and it went over horribly. But he didn't do comedy that night. And then he was telling that to his friend, and his experience perfectly matched up with this other guy who did do comedy that night at the same exact bar and did a sexual joke. And like this, basically, my friend Kyle had a dream that somebody else actually did in real life. Like that same night. And he was like, wow, I felt like I bombed over this sexual joke. And this other guy did actually bomb over this sexual joke. And Kyle thinks that guy cursed him. Is that possible?
Interesting.
Or, I mean, does that mean anything to you?
I don't know because I'm not an expert in astrology.
Yeah, you're just like life experience.
Yeah, like I use all of those mediums to kind of determine someone's kind of purpose and where they belong and like all of that fun stuff. But yeah, I'm not.
But you're not into the world of like exorcisms and shit.
No, because they're mediums.
You can't do get across. Yeah. Well, so here's my question.
I'm more intuitive, like psychic intuitiveness, rather than being able to predict the future yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, so this is more my question then, like, and this is what he told me to ask you, which is like, if he feels like he's being cursed or whatever, how do you clear like bad energy around you?
Oh, there's so many ways. There's
ways to clear bad energy around you.
Yes, there's different herbs. There's different rituals. So there's, lighting of a candle. It's kind of whatever.
Like this is another detail I'm going to say about Kyle's case. So he looked up like a list of things that might happen if you're cursed or something like that, and he's hitting like 3 out of 5. Like his car broke down recently. He's like,
how recently? Because Mercury was in retrograde, and
it could just be that. See, Kyle's not smart like us.
Hot water heater broke during that time as well.
But it was the car. It was. Is
Kyle like a victim a lot?
I think he might be feeling that way sometimes. I don't know.
He thinks the universe is out to get him right now.
Yeah, definitely. Why is that?
I don't know.
Is that just in the water, or is he like a? Should he toughen up and just stop worrying about it?
I don't know. I need to know Kyle.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to go with a big case of toughen up. You're not being cursed, right? Yeah. Guys, you're listening to Jakey. Pod right now. I'm sitting here today with Stef Stuber right now, my good friend. But you're like my friend. You're my coworker. But you're also a bunch more than that. You've also lived like a super crazy, interesting life, and we hang out and talk about podcasting all the time.
Yeah.
And we also drive around and we talk shit in the car all the time. So I thought it'd be a good episode to get you in.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like so tips like what would be a practical thing to do to clear energy in like the house?
So something practical and easy. You could bring in Palo Santo or sage, white sage. You would want to source it responsibly.
You want to get good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then you can light that and clear space. Or you could even do something as simple as using witch hazel and mopping your floors to clear energy.
Okay. Nice.
Just try,
it was
little things of that nature.
I saw online, I don't know if you would do this whenever, I saw online something to the effect of like, it said like do something, you could cast a reflection, you could put a mirror up facing the window.
Protection spells too.
But that's like, is that like extra? I feel like that's extra for my friend.
Or you could honestly just find somebody, like reach out. There's a lot of practitioners out there that will do like space and energy clearing.
It might be easier just to outsource. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like my friend Kyle, I can't see him like burning sage.
Yeah,
around
something
the house
just gave me a feeling that like Kyle might need a little extra help.
We'll see.
I have people, Kyle. I'll send you to a really good practitioner.
Let's see if this curse gets any worse.
Yeah.
I think, and then we'll.
What else has happened to him besides his car?
Wait, so the car broke down? I mean, he's like broken, unhealthy. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, isn't that just 2024 right now?
That is true.
A lot of Gen Z right now just broke and yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting? I've just not just so much about the the brokenness, but the health thing. Me and Maria, we've been just. I feel like, and I was talking to my dad about this recently. Like it hits you real quick.
It sure does.
Well, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, life is kind of finite, and I've been wearing her pretty hard for these past 30 years, and then all of a sudden you start feeling things, and but yeah, and well, you run like Sacred Grove, right? Like
Sacred Path. We had
Sacred Path. I'm sorry.
It was like a holistic wellness center, and then we closed the brick and mortar in June. So now we're popping up and kind of.
But you're still like it's still like a.
We're
function.
transitioning it into it just kind of being a space for different practitioners to come together to empower people through all of their different modalities and businesses. So we're going to focus more on Three Wild Spirits, which is like consultations that's encompassing, how you're built, what you've been through, and then different modalities like breath work and herbalism to kind of,
Well, it's interesting, and I know, like I was telling you, I fucked up my back today. I've never fucked up my back this bad. Like, I almost even had like a memory of my dad waking up one morning and like screaming and being like, "What happened?" And he like moved wrong, and then his back hurt like the rest of his life. Like I started like in the morning or something.
I didn't expect like the rest of his life.
I think I bet if I asked him like, "Does it still hurt?" He'd be like, "Fuck yeah, it still hurts." Like I don't know, but like I literally was picking up. There's like a funny detail in this too, which is so. All my underwear was in the laundry in the living room, and I got out of the shower and I was all naked in the house. I was like completely naked, and I walked and I was like, oh, I came down to grab the laundry, and Maria was like, ooh, you know what I mean? And I'm all naked grabbing the laundry basket, and then I pinched a nerve like in my back halfway up the stairs, and I just went, ah! And Maria's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. And then I just had to lay there, and I was like, please get me underwear. I was all I've never felt more exposed in my life.
That was like that Sex in the City episode. Did you ever?
No, I've never seen.
No, where
never
she
once.
pinched a nerve or I think that's what it was, like in the bathroom and was naked and had to call like a friend to come get her because she was just like. Yeah.
Oh, wait, like during sex, pinched a nerve?
No, just like in the bathroom naked by herself, but like needed to call somebody, and
I started, dude,
you have to feel so vulnerable. Thank God it was just Maria. Could you imagine if you had to call
every
a friend?
Single day I'm more surprised at how much Maria loves me and takes care of me, because I was literally, I was like literally with a little baby with my butt out. I was literally like, please come down, and she got me the underwear, and she was nice to me for like 4 hours, and then I honestly but then
she's a good girlfriend.
Oh, she was great. Basically, I just let it, and I literally I could sit up straight, but like any bending felt very weird, and I couldn't shimmy from side to side. I was supposed to work today. I had to call out, and then I did like some yoga. Well, also I didn't move all day, but then I did like a little bit of just a small amount of yoga I knew, and I feel like I heard like the shit's like clicking, like, you know what I mean? And then like I kind of felt better after that. I took a nap and felt better. But I've never hurt myself that bad in my life.
Huh. Do you remember the moment that it happened?
Yes. Like, I was walking up I might have like, I don't know. I was holding it the way I would hold anything. I had it arms out in front of me. And Maria was like, did you lift with your back? But I'd already lifted it. I was holding it up. I don't know.
I definitely know, like, especially in a car, sometimes, like when you turn too quick. Yeah, I don't know. You must have pinched something.
Well, I don't know, but it is fine now. Well, I mean, that was all to say. Like, yeah, I was thinking about yoga and breathing. Like that shit really could help you like pretty fast. You
Kundalini was one of the greatest things that I had ever tried.
That's a type of yoga?
It is. So it's it's heavy breath work and less of that, lifting the arm and downward dog and
more
poses.
meditation-y.
Definitely more meditation-like, and it kind of pulls out emotions and pain and resets things. It's definitely worth trying.
Well, that's all interesting. I have a million places we could go right now, which is like well, I mean, yeah, and
if your bones are like brittle and your joints are kind of dry, I tend to go with like healthy fats. It kind of loosens everything up because you want to just.
Anything you'd recommend?
Yeah, like
like
MCT oil or like, one of those bulletproof coffees in the morning if you have if you're tight or stiff in the morning.
Me and Maria, we
keep
had our
everything in
oil.
balance.
We take those fish oils, but we took them after. We took them later in the day. But I don't know.
You got to take care of yourself. Some kid, it was really wonderful to hear. He was, I guess, like in his 20s. He was our Uber driver.
Oh no, just earlier?
Not today, just the other day. But he was talking about how he doesn't drink, and he said he wants to be present and feel his feelings and not need alcohol or substances as a crutch. Like 25, 26.
Good for him.
And then I met another kid in his 20s, same thing, just super driven, and they care about their health. He's like, I want to eat right because what I put into my body, and
I actually joke about Gen Z a lot, like on stage and shit.
So do I.
But my actual opinions.
My shit.
But there is this side of Gen Z too, where they're like a lot more conscientious.
Yeah.
And it's almost part of like the chronic onlineness too. But they're like, it's like they're not really into like drinking and drugs and shit. Which
we
is
see
like
it at Biba Doobie. We saw it at Biba Doobie, but we start to see it more and more at the Met. They are the second most heavily populated generation. It's millennials, then Gen Z.
There's a lot of them. You mean.
And they are the second most populated. They're drinking less premarital sex. They're
wieners. They're kind of weenies.
I know. And they say their anxiety and their depression levels are up, but I wonder if that's just reported cases because they actually seek therapy, and that, you know what I mean?
That's a huge part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I was just really impressed by them because I talk a lot of shit.
I'm probably not a reported case because you know what I mean? That's interesting. Yeah.
It was really interesting for me, because it just shows how the economy is going to change in general. Because now, think about the things in the 90s that everybody wanted, like the Xenadrins and anything they were taking something for, and then the alcoholism, everyone going out, it's just lessening. Literally, that Biba Doobie show was sold out.
But
and the kids and they were the nicest kids that I had ever met.
They're just having some good wholesome fun.
I was trying to sneak drinks. I was a little butthole at that age,
Yeah, you kind of leave kids long enough, they always get up to something.
Itchy.
They always do get up to something.
Cool. But they went through so much, they watched their during the pandemic. It was a break for us because
How old
we were
was
working
Liv
too
during
much.
that?
Liv was in kindergarten, so
It's so weird because to me, your kid is like 10 or whatever, but so she's always been 10. But just a few years ago, she was in a whole different phase of childhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they had a whole different experience. I felt bad for the teachers because a lot of those kids were remote schooled. So when they went back, they were so used to just kind of living their best life. They weren't conditioned into during
the pandemic, I lived in an apartment.
Can't handle them.
And the lady above me she must have been a fucking virtual math teacher, because I remember you could just listen to her through the window between the school hours, be but you're yelling, Christopher, settle down. Jeremy, stop the fuck. Yeah. Hey, cut the shit out. We're doing fucking math right now. Hey, cut it out. How are you supposed to get kids to relax? And also I think about it. If I was forced to do online, I was good in school. I loved school. I got good grades.
I was not.
You were bad? I liked
not
it.
bad.
I
just didn't really have an interest. If I liked my teacher, I did well. But if the teacher was a jerk, I lost all interest.
That would happen, but my parents would spitefully force me to get B's in the classes where I hated the teachers. And then actually some of my favorite teachers were pretty hard on me and would just refuse to give me. What's funny is you look back on that shit now. I remember my dad would always say to me, I would stress about grades and stuff. He's like, you're not gonna remember. Do you remember any test you've ever taken?
No, and they're
so
not relative, Jake. What year did you graduate?
2013 in high school.
I graduated high school in 1998. My experience was so different. 1998, I graduated high school.
I know. It's crazy. No computers and shit, or barely any.
No, we had computers. They call us we're Zennials. They call us the Oregon Trail generation. But it's just wild. Like when we had fire drills, it was exciting because you got out of
You had to go
class.
smoke pot
You
and
know?
shit.
Yeah. Where these kids
we had
have
bomb threats.
Yeah, we didn't have bomb threats, and now the kids have shooter threats.
Yeah.
And my daughter
You do
hit me
those
with some
shooting practice
stuff.
and stuff. Yeah, do you know that they make them sit in the corners and shit?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, so I mean, I was gonna say like, what was so much shit you don't remember. But one of my favorite teachers, Miss Cheney, I remember she would just always give me B's on my essays, and it would make me so mad because my good friend Mike would always get a fucking A, and she would always give me B's. But it was I think she was just trying to pull a little bit more out of me.
Yeah, you think?
And 100%. By senior year, she like.
I
can
see that though with you,
dude. But that's what I'm saying. I was probably phoning it in, and she's like, she pulled it out. But then I look back on it, I'm like, what do I do now? I write. You know what I mean? Like, so like I look on that as valuable. But all the shit that you remember. But we had my school had bomb threat Fridays where like we had a streak of every Friday, and we're looking back on this.
That's crazy.
What it was kids were getting out of tests. It was like right before like phone tracking was super good. So dude, if you wanted off on your test or whatever, some kid would call in a bomb threat, and it happened like every Friday for a fucking month or maybe 2 months. And it was happening. It would happen a few times a week, and the principals would also the teachers would being like, "Fucking stop doing this," because you can't be dismissive of it.
Like,
no, it is.
It's sad, but it is funny as hell.
Because
like,
they by the end of it, they were so mad at us
down.
for doing it. And one time, this is just a vivid memory, because like there's certain rules with the bomb threat. You can't evacuate too fast, so they put everybody in the auditorium and made us watch Night at the Museum too. And they're like, "This is your fucking fun." And we were like, kind of, you're waiting for your potential demise, and you're watching Night at the Museum too. It's all weird as a child. And you mean my friends were like goofing off. They're like, "When are the buses gonna come?" You kind of knew inherently nothing was gonna happen.
Yeah.
By the fifth one, you're like, "Oh, another one! God damn it!"
So you never felt scared though that like anything could happen.
Maybe the first one was a little surreal, and then by the fifth one, it was like,
yeah,
getting home early today, boys. Let's fucking let's go.
I'm like curious if the kids nowadays, like if they're stressed out, you know what I mean? Like thinking.
I mean, I know.
Because it's just different.
Kids like vape now. And it's like, why are you vaping? They're like, it's hard being a kid. You know what I mean? Like.
They are. Like, they look so old. That younger generation, they look old. And they're, like, almost like little mini conservatives. And then you have, like, the little alphas that are, like... So, I mean, they're essentially beginning the pattern again because you have Z, the end, and then alpha. Like,
alpha's going to be the
those
beginning.
kids, they are something, man. Teachers can't, like, keep up because... The teachers are teaching curriculum, so the system's completely outdated, whereas these kids just consume knowledge on a daily basis. Like, my daughter knows more than I was just
thinking about that. Like, throw this or that out there. She's got a lot going on. I feel like if we had to do anything involving the internet, she would school me. You know what I mean?
She would, and she knows like very adult topics. Like, she just understands things. She's still obviously a kid, but like it's easy to talk.
But like the internet,
got lucky, it's easy.
The internet throws those. It almost makes you grow up fast in a weird way.
It
Grow up
does.
fast, but also grow up slow. I don't know.
And the thing is, if you shield them, somebody else is going to tell them. You know what I mean? So I'm like, do I want my daughter researching it herself, or talking to me about it, or some shitty kid telling her what he learned on the internet? You can't shield any of them.
Oh, bless you.
Thanks.
That was the most adorable sneeze ever. I couldn't even tell what was going on.
I know. I can't help it. It's been like that my whole life.
Do you need a tissue or anything?
No.
Okay, you're good. Yeah, that's crazy.
She knows about gross she knows about things like
the internet,
semen, like I mean whatever. I'm just putting it out there, like sexual things, like violent
do you know?
things.
Yeah, violent stuff. This is so funny to me too because I would all summer long we worked together on Mondays and then we would pick up Liv after summer camp or whatever. And then she'd get in the car. She'd be like, "Look what I drew today." And it would just be all guns. It's just a picture of guns. She's like, "Look, Mom, that's an AK-47 and a Desert Eagle." And you're like,
"Yeah, she's nuts."
And you're just trying your hardest to be like, "Oh, cool, but you got to draw guns. Why are you drawing guns?" You're like, "What are you doing?" I remember.
Yeah, she's drawn weird, like obscure, dark things ever since she's been in kindergarten. I
swear to God, I remember doing that same exact shit where I drew a picture of Jesus holding 2 guns one time, and I showed it to my mom. I must have been like 10 or 12, being like, "Don't you think this is funny?" She was like, don't fucking draw Jesus with guns. What's your problem? And I was like, it's funny. And she's like, no, that's fucked up. You don't do that.
That's exactly what Liv says. Like, it's not
Dude,
like she has an obsession with guns or anything like that. She just likes to get a rise out of people as well. Like, have you ever taken your Myers-Briggs?
Is that the one where it's like AGTG or whatever? Or
something like that, like INFJ, ENFP.
INFJs, yeah. I took that one
ESTJ.
time. I took that. God, I it's on an old phone probably. I can't remember. There were some cool guys. Remember, it tells you like which ones you have. I can't remember which one I
Like
had.
Liv is a textbook ENTP.
What's that mean? Or what is it? Yeah.
Extroverted. She's a thinker, so she's not like a feeler like myself. She is intuitive, and she's a perceiver. But really, it just means she's a troll.
Right.
She loves to get rises. She's highly intelligent. She said, like, she'll debate something, and then at the end of it, she'll win and then doesn't even
just drop
care.
it.
Yeah, she doesn't even care. She'll fight for both sides of an argument, and she makes jokes at my expense, which is fine if she becomes like a famous comedian one day or something.
Yeah.
And then I ask her why she's constantly like badgering me, and she's like, because I need to work on my material, and you're the only person I can that I won't get in trouble with. And I'm like, okay.
All right, whatever.
All right. But I'm like, wow.
That's kind of funny, kind of fucked up.
Keeps me humble, like gets my ego in check,
Well, and I almost don't know what was I gonna say, because like maybe she would become a comedian. Like I don't even
I don't know what she's gonna do.
Also,
she's
I look, that's the other thing too, is like in my life, my experiences, I happen to fall into like being a comedian, and I like it, and it was good for me. But I almost just wouldn't suggest that to other people. Like, but I wonder in the future, is everybody going to want to be a comedian? I don't know.
Is that where we're going? Everybody wants to be a comedian these days?
No, I don't even mean it. Like, this is a genuine thought I was having. I'm going to go on full rant mode right now, which is that
do it. Preach,
media
Jakey.
is kind of on its way out as we know it.
Oh, 100%.
Literally just last week, almost every celebrity we knew got implicated in like horrible amoral crimes with the Diddy thing, and there's going to be this Diddy list, and who was doing fucked up shit at his house. Oh, was it Kevin Hart? Was it, oh no, Jay-Z's cool, but blah blah blah. Like, you know what I mean? It's all like, all those guys are fucking scumbags, and the proof is about to come out for that. Like, the music industry is kind of dying. Nobody really wants to be who wants to be a pop star nowadays? Like, look at Justin Bieber. Like, his life, Did he find him when he's 12 years old or whatever? And then, like, another thing, like movies. Francis Ford Coppola just put out, like, his final film, right? Megalopolis. Quentin Tarantino, he's got one film left that he's going to do. Like, even movies kind of weren't what they once were. And then
everything's evolving.
So that's what I'm saying, like acting, right? And everybody knows, like, acting. What are you going to do? Going to go get Harvey Weinstein or whatever? And then, like, music industry, Diddy,
Yeah.
And then, like, realistically, like, even though, like, I guess Bill Cosby was a monster, but like comedy's like one of those last things left that's like almost unpolluted by other industries. So I think people are gravitating towards it because you could be a little bit more honest, you could be a little bit more sincere. Whereas, like, to
I
be
see
like,
what you're saying.
you know what I mean? To be like a record, if you wanted to be a pop singer,
people want to hear that. I mean, why do you think Matt Rife's show was sold out every single show?
Yeah,
I had to see it to believe it because I had only heard things on the internet about him. When I saw it, I just realized he's saying all the things that everybody wants to hear in an authentic, sincere way, kind of offending everyone, yet actually offending no one at the same time.
The comedy people are the biggest superstars
right
now. Like, just this weekend is going to be Skankfest, this huge.
I only know that because Ryan does.
Oh yeah, it's this huge dirty comedy festival. I think this year's probably going to be like bigger than ever. Okay. If I had to guess, like, it's just like, that's just a fucking huge thing in the comedy, like, in the comedy world. And then, like, like, people are like records are being hit. It's just like one of those things where people can, like, I feel like so much of our media is turning on us right now. Like, how are you?
I don't believe shit anymore, especially with AI. That's why people need to reconnect. They're trying to reconnect to themselves, reconnect to each other, reconnect. This year is about reconnection. It's even what the other Kamala's campaign is about, is reconnection, because we got to a point where you don't believe anything or anybody anymore. It's
or like people say, like,
crazy.
separate the art from the artist, and we all like. I can listen to Michael Jackson in a context and not be offended. I can listen to, sometimes R. Kelly comes on, but then like, what is it going to be? Every artist? Like, I have to compromise every artist. It's going to be every artist.
Well, everybody's going to get canceled at some point, because
right, that's what I'm saying.
You're going to piss somebody off. Like, if you're not pissing somebody off, you're doing something wrong, because
that's what I'm saying.
It is impossible for everyone to like you, or for you to like what was acceptable to trend and become unacceptable. And it's up to us as a society to understand these ebbs and flows. Like, that's why I don't get offended by the boomer who says something a little spicy to me. I'm like, he says that to all the women, and as soon as you tell him, hey sir, not really down with that, like, just don't say that, you'd be surprised at the reaction you get, instead of projecting that they're like some perv right away.
Right. And I've seen you slam people before. Wait, didn't some guy like grab you and you go like, don't fucking do that, and you embarrass him in front of all his friends? What did you say? Or I think you just called him out in front of his friends.
I just called him out, and I wasn't even that mean, but it was very firm, where all of his girlfriends were like,
firm.
And he got the point. He still comes in. It's not like,
that might
I just needed him to know that you don't
moment, so to speak.
That's literally what it was. Just don't. I'm pretty easygoing. Just don't grab me. And do you
remember that guy? We worked that SEO, that guy with the wooden cane, and he was saying all those like horrible comments to Tulia and Maria. Do you remember that? That might have been before you worked there.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh my God, this was the only part of it that was funny to me, which is just like, the guy was being like, "What? You can't say that anymore?" And I'm like, obviously not, dude. Like, the shit that he was saying was like, "What? It's 2022. You can't be like nice, whatever." And I'm like, dude,
that's
where?
Like too far.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how have you gotten this far and nobody's told you no? Like, how have you gotten to 2022 and you're still being like, you can't say that stuff?
Yeah, you can't. And that's when I have to step in and make it a teachable moment. And sometimes I have to step on your nuts while I teach you.
Oh.
It's, like, for the most part, I think I haven't had too many issues with it for the most part. You know what I mean? Because I think it's fair. I try to be diplomatic about it. Like, I'm not going to say something unless it needs to be said.
Well, you've lived a crazy life. And this is going to pull us into the next kind of phase of what we're wanting to talk about, which is like, we're about like a half hour in. I want to talk. Let's go to Thailand.
Okay.
We got to go to Thailand, or like, because there's also so many like little
I'll give
parts
you
to set up.
one like ending piece to that. Like,
yes.
I think because like starting out where I started out, and then like, even bartending when it wasn't something that female minorities was doing, like I got called chopsticks like my first year bartending.
I've seen people be way meaner to you bartending than I've ever seen other people, unfortunately.
And, I had a guy ask me if I want to suck his like spring roll before, or like, how's my fortune cookie taste, and
that's
like
rude. That is rude. I did chuckle, but it's rude.
But then like, and those are like ignorant guys. Then you get like the highly intelligent guys who still are being just as offensive when they just come up to you and start speaking in Chinese or Japanese. And I'm like,
that's wild.
That's like a real sad assumption.
Has that ever happened to you, where a guy comes up to you like and tries to throw on the Korean or whatever?
All the time.
Hilarious.
All the time.
Well, that guy learned a whole language to try to get pussy, and he's just got to use it to the best of his ability.
Yeah, I had a woman ask me if I wanted to go out for sushi, and I didn't realize she was hitting on me, and like, it's just always funny when they go for things of that nature. You're like, oh, okay. Like,
can you hit on me without referencing Asian food one time?
Yeah, or like anything, K-pop, like, just be cool,
Just be regular, right? It's all, a lot of the Asian food sexual references are all like noodles, spring roll, like, it's all food.
It brings up my insecurities. I want to be more Asian. I'm not. I'm like I was stuck in this Twinkie state,
I think you're pretty Asian, Steph, and you've been.
I mean, by looks, yeah.
You're right. I
they
would
call
say
us yellow on the outside, white on the inside.
I mean, I think you're a Philadelphian probably first, right? Would that be?
I grew up in Bucks County and then Cape May. But
you're. I don't know. I don't know if one word could even tie you down to anything because you've lived such a weird life.
I don't ever want to be defined. I think that's what I fight against so hard. I don't ever want to be defined by anything. I'm not a bartender, not a business owner, not a.
I thought we were going to talk way more about bartending when we didn't even talk about it at all.
Oh shit, we got lots of fun.
I know, right? Like, because Stef is like a great bartender too, which sounds like a weird thing to talk to somebody about on a podcast, but. That was the inspiration. I was like, we could talk about bartending because I know you've done so much.
Well, I want to turn that into a podcast.
That was kind of the idea, was to do like just a practice version. We didn't even talk about bartending one time.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, well, I'm sure we could. I thought if we ran out of stuff to talk about, we could talk about bartending.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. I'm just following you, Jake. Yeah.
I mean, we're rolling, but no, that's you've lived like a crazy life, and we were talking about it right before we started rolling, which was the like your Thailand trip.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is like. Just you in a nutshell. I've heard it before, but like, is there various elements of it? But like, I feel like yeah. Do you want to tell the story?
Everything.
It's got a lot. Yeah. So you're bartending.
Okay.
One night.
So I'm bartending.
And how old are you?
Plow on the Stars. I was 31. I had just broken up with a boyfriend who
recent over a breakup. And where's
that
bar
for the
you're
government?
working at?
And
it was in Philly.
Yeah,
okay.
It was. Can I say like?
Oh sure.
Oh
yeah.
It's the Plow on the Stars in Old City,
mm-hmm.
and this guy walked in like towards the last call and asked to use the bathroom, and he was pretty hot. So I was joking around.
This hot guy. Give me kisses.
I know, you're the hottest.
He's a hot guy.
But I asked him to take his shirt off for the girls that I work with if he wanted to use the bathroom, like totally kidding around. And he took his shirt off.
Ripped.
And every girl, completely ripped. And then that's when we found out they were like pro rugby players from Ireland. They were on the Irish Wolfhounds, and they came to play the U.S. Tomahawks. So
and rugby people are fun. One of my best friends from college is rugby. They party hard. They drink a lot.
They were so fun, and they were all good looking. And
they're all hunks. Yeah, they're hunks too.
They kept coming in for the week while they were here in town. And then I ended up having some fun with one of them. He was a pure gent, and I thought I would never see him again.
Nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like a little one-night stand.
Yeah, just a one-night stand after
Classic.
a breakup. But lo and behold, he decided to reach out and see if I wanted to go to Dubai or Thailand.
That was the email you just showed me?
Uh-huh.
So he reaches out via email.
I believe it was like Facebook we started talking or text. I don't know.
Wait, so how soon after the one-night stand does it hit you up?
Like, I guess a couple days after he gets back to Ireland and gets situated. He was from Limerick. And yeah, like,
so he went back to his home.
He's
home,
mm-hmm.
and then he goes. He's like, you know what? I wonder what Steffi.
Yeah.
I wonder what Steffi's up to. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it was funny because then he invited me. So when he invited me, in my brain, I'm like, oh well, whatever. Like I'm not planning on moving to Ireland. I was like, it's rainy, it's cold there.
Yeah. Honestly, that would. I mean, it may be fun to visit, but yeah, kind of like a shitty
but like
ultimate destination.
I never thought like it was gonna be this whirlwind romance where I was gonna fall in love with a rugby player, and so I actually ended up going on a date with a guy here. So we had our first date right before like a first date and then a couple. Then we started dating like before I left for Thailand. So I go to Thailand to meet up with this rugby player while I have a boyfriend here in the States now.
Oh, sorry, dude. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's such a nightmare.
It got raw.
That's such a nightmare.
And so I end up in Thailand. It was like a whirlwind. It was so much fun. I had my friend Heather kind of go with me, which is a whole nother thing on the spiritual plane, but I ended up in two temples, one in Japan and one in Thailand that were Buddhist temples, which
this is before
I ever thought about like anything spiritual.
But this is on this trip.
On this trip. Yeah, it just kind of happened. But anyway, so yeah, it's a whirlwind of a trip. We're staying in this stunningly beautiful place. Like it was like a 5-star like dream, and it was in Thailand. Everything was so cheap. It was so fun. We decided to get motorcycles the second day of vacation. And I'm there
second
with
day.
Like
second
day.
Also, I've told you I've been to Thailand before too, right?
No.
Oh, I don't even think we've even gotten to it because your story is so much. I visited, didn't have a horrible accident. So yeah, like I've been to Thailand. I studied abroad there. I was there for like 3 or 4 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't even know if
Okay.
I've. Either way, so like you get off the plane, the smell hits you. It smells different. You're kind of like culture shock because it's so like where did you land?
So we landed
Was it in Bangkok?
Bangkok. We stayed there for a night, and it was kind of wild because when we were in Narita, we ran into these people that were Americans, and I'm like, oh hey, they speak English. Let's like
Hang
meet
out
up
with them. Yeah.
So we're all hanging out, and then at one point, the one guy looks over at the couple, and he's like, I know you guys, and they're like, I know you too. So it turns out that we're all hanging out, and it's Marielle Heller, who was in like The Queen's Gambit, produced like Mr. Rogers, and then her husband Yorma, who's like one of the Lonely Island guys. I didn't know it until the other guy.
You hung out with the Lonely Island guys in Thailand?
Well, just Yorma and his wife, and then this other
hilarious.
guy who was like a VJ for MTV Asia, and like they all recognized each other, and we
are we all slightly famous here at this table?
And it was weird, and then Heather and I are like, well, we're not, but like we just had so much fun with them. We were at we went to Narita, and we're in Buddhist temples, like we're drinking sake at like this like somewhere, like there's photos, but we were only there for 6 hours. Then we went to Bangkok, stayed there for a night, and then took the ferry over. We had like some fun little adventures, and then we get to Koh Samui, where we were staying, and
Koh Samui, where was that, in the south?
One of the islands.
It's an island in the south.
Yeah, that's why we took the ferry over. It was so stunning. I think they filmed the beach there.
Yeah, Koh means like I stayed on like Coco Fee or whatever, which was like a that, or it was like PP or Fifi Island or something like that. I can't remember. I think it stood for like Paradise Island.
I don't know why that sounds funny, Fifi Island.
Yeah, it was PHI, but I think they pronounce it different. But yeah, so there's all those island chains that you could get to in the south.
So anyway,
and so you took the ferry there. It's night 2.
Yeah,
and you're like, let's rent some bikes.
Yeah,
and you're with the rugby guy the whole time. You and your chick friend and the rugby guy.
So it was the rugby guy, his brother, their friend who was like a detective in Ireland, and the other guy was like training to be an Olympian runner.
Sherlock Holmes, an Olympian runner. This is like why you're with the Avengers of fucking Ireland. Is so stupid.
The hotel was stunning. Like the guys.
One guy did it was a black belt. The other one was a lab scientist or whatever.
They looked like G.I. Joe figures.
So
they were all buff.
They're all ripped.
Literally, like when I show you pictures, you're gonna be like, "Holy shit!" Like literally fucking ripped.
It's so funny.
So like we're going through the mountains. Everyone falls at some point, like a little bit, and we're like, "Oh, I scratched my leg," and then we're coming back from the mountains, and I don't know, like I still can't remember why, but I remember feeling the feeling like, oh, I'm gonna get in an accident. Like I saw it coming, and I still can't explain anything, but I remember feeling that feeling.
Like moments before, or like an hour before, or
I couldn't tell you the timing. It's just the feelings that I remember. Because I remember that, and then I remember waking up to smelling salts in the middle of the street, and some guy like yelling like, "Oh, China girl hurt, China girl died, China girl gonna die."
Oh, so they gave you smelling salts to give you consciousness back to see if you were even alive?
Yeah, because I remember feeling like I was gonna like crash, and like I just remember at one point like just hearing things, and I don't like because I can't
you don't remember the crash.
It happened so fast. I might have like if I think hard enough, I feel like maybe I can visualize like him coming like towards me, but
it's like it's like split second.
I remember more just waking up and then
so someone hit you smelling salts and what has happened.
Then I wake up and I remember holding my leg like this, and the guy had like a shirt over me, and I could see my foot over or like on the right.
It was fully detached?
No, it was hanging by 3 inches of skin and muscle.
Oh my God.
If you see it.
Oh, and we got the images too.
Like there to there is literally.
Well, show it to the camera if you would.
It was just hanging by that much.
Like, whoa, wow, that is so fucking crazy, Steph. I've seen it multiple times. You told me multiple times, and every time you tell me, it gives me that feeling of being in like a fucking hospital, of like
it was crazy, and it got so much crazier because
and there's blood everywhere, right?
Yeah, like and the one guy's face was literally gray.
You're looking at also they're telling you you're gonna be. This is like it's like a movie. They're telling you you're gonna be fine, but you're looking at them and they're fucking lying
I'm glitching.
To you,
I'm straight glitching at this point. Like I kept asking them, I'm like, please find my camera. Like don't cut my bathing suit if if I live, I just got it and I want to keep it.
You're just saying random shit. Yeah, baby.
Like, yeah, it was that. And the third thing was don't call my mom. And I kept looping, like, saying those 3 things again.
Wait,
like,
what was it? It was
find my camera, don't cut my bathing suit if I live, and don't call my mom because
don't
my
cut
dad
my bathing
died.
suit if I live. Yeah, I still like it. And then
I still have it. I actually wear it
because
still.
That's sick.
And
Well,
that's from 2011. Yeah.
Wow, what a weird little mantra that you've repeated over. Sometimes a mantra will just help you out, you know. That's so, and then
I found out my insurance was blacklisted overseas, so I had
and
Aetna.
I mean, and also there's so much like you're there with this fucking guy. Like that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the pod. You know, you're like, ooh, let's do a little fling to Asia, blah, blah, blah.
I'll tell you, when you were talking about, like, Maria helping you out when you were naked, like, it was so humbling for me to, like, I had this guy that I had known for,
Basically,
like, I guess
total
of 20, well, at that point, maybe, like, 70-something hours, was wiping my ass for me, like, because I was on morphine and I was literally, after I had to, like, go to the bathroom, like, that was humbling as fuck.
And he could almost, what's the word? Like, it's not like it was his fault, but in a sense, he
felt responsible
because he brought you. It wouldn't have happened if he didn't bring you. But at the same time, it was like kind of an act of God, was it not? You know,
and I was spicy as fuck then. So like, I was young and wild. I still had sex with him in the hospital gurney, like
with a fucking detached leg. You hear that, boys?
Morphine.
You Gen Z kids not getting pussy. You know, you could have sex in the hospital bed in Thailand.
Like, yeah.
He was probably like, I'm not going to do that. He was like, I'm not going to do that. No, are you sure?
It was me.
Okay.
Pushing. I'm like, just do it. I didn't come here for nothing. I'm like, this is what's happening.
In your head, were you just saying, like, I'm alive?
I just didn't even know if I was going to live.
Right.
Like, I had the doctors tell me, like, every other day that I was going to be an amputee. I
need to get banged then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The morphine, I was throwing up all over the place. I didn't know if I could get home. It cost me $20,000 to be like, well, $10,000 to get operated on and another $10,000 to get out of the country.
If you were in a horrible accident and you wanted the medical attention, you'd kind of hope it would be from America, and now you're in fucking Thailand.
Well, it wasn't that. The hospital care was the best ever. Like,
good.
I didn't have anything to compare it to until now, post Thailand, and if I had the opportunity, I'd go back to Thailand for hospital care every time.
They did great?
It was awful here. Yeah, it was great there. And it's kind of where I got my start in holistic, like, health, because I understood there were so many different approaches to the medical system.
I feel like the medical prognosis will often be like way worse. Did you do anything holistic that like helps you with your leg specifically, or maybe you probably had to do physical therapy for years, right?
Well, the most holistic thing that could have ever happened. So kind of odd and to veer off, but 2012 is Year of the Black Dragon.
Nice.
Comes once every 60 years in Korean astrology. And it's like symbolizes good luck and fortune or whatever. So people were trying to have babies that year. So oddly enough, that's the year that I got pregnant. I didn't have a baby that year. I had lived in 2013, but in 2012 I got pregnant, and that was the Year of the Black Dragon. That's why I have this tattoo.
Oh, neat.
And
sick.
Yeah. Reproduced stem cells. So I had 4 surgeries on my leg, stem cell injections, which weren't covered under U.S. healthcare. They do it in Europe, but not here.
So you had to go to Europe to do it?
No, I had it here, but I had to pay for it out of pocket.
Oh.
I opted out of the local anesthesia to save money. It was one of the most painful things. It was rough.
Whoa.
But anyway,
you're a crazy person.
I'm just living, dude.
I
don't
know.
think about it.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, having an experience like that just changes you. I've
had so many that my
got
life.
Close to death's door, and that's that's what I'm saying. Like, we've been talking for almost an hour. We've barely even scratched the surface. This is like one little mini Steffi story. Steph has a million stories, but I mean, what's interesting, and I guess I've never really told. I had a Thailand experience, and I don't even tell you about it because mine was really nice. I studied abroad at college. And it was really nice, but it was my also intro to spiritual shit as well, because
oh wow, really?
I was having like a spiritual crisis in college, and I wanted to learn about Buddhism, and I read a bunch of books about Buddhism and meditation, and I just wanted to learn about it closer. And then my college offered me this study abroad for like a semester in the summer. So I went to Thailand and I took these classes on Buddhism, and that's when I got really into meditating. I meditated every day, and I met monks and would go to temples, and it was a really spiritual, interesting, illuminating time for me.
I put you on a pedestal, Jake. So whatever you're doing, you're young.
I was not even like that was almost like a phase I had. To be fair, like that was like my Buddhist phase, and I've kind of I've incorporated certain bits into myself.
That's what Buddhism is about. It's not about following a religion. It's about incorporating it and making a lifestyle.
Yeah, for real.
So you are still practicing Buddhism
in a sense, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I was back in your early 20s, you like find a thing, and then a week later,
go down
that's my whole
yep.
personality. So I'm literally, but
I still do it.
I would, it's good actually. I would sit on the roofs and I would meditate and think about my life and shit and But interestingly enough, this is just like a little side story, which is we were going to rent fucking motorbikes because that was a big thing in there down in Thailand. Everybody was renting motorbikes.
You don't have to have a helmet, a license.
No helmet, no. And I would take them.
Wasted. They don't care.
I would take them to school every day. I had a motorbike guy who lived on the corner, and you could pay him the equivalent of like, it was basically probably like $20 there and fucking 20 cents here, and he would drive me across the bridge to school. And I remember thinking like, this is fucking dangerous. This guy's going so fast. Oh, I'll hit that shit.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, and but the one of my last days there. So I spent like a month and a half in Bangkok, and then I went to the city called Chiang Mai in the north for a little bit.
Yeah.
And they had, my buddy was like, I was with this American guy. He's like, dude, we got to do the bike rentals. And I'm like, I don't really want to. And then that morning we were, you know how they have 7-Elevens like crazy over there? We were going to a 7-Eleven, and I watched a guy get fucking wiped out on a bike.
That's because 70% of people, like, of hospital injuries are
those
motorbike related.
But like the day we're gonna go rent him, I'm like, I look over and I see a guy get fucking whopped.
That's sobering as shit.
And I was like,
and I
turned to my friend Victor. I'm like, dude, I'm not getting on the fucking bike. He was like, he was like, I'm gonna go, and I was like, dude,
he's braver than me. If I saw that prior, there's no way I would have got. I went into it blindly, like, let's go. I'm here for adventure. But yeah, if I saw that, I would have been like, nah.
And then ironically. Later that day, I made a friend, and we were on the back of his bike, and we weren't wearing helmets. And we kind of had this adventure this whole day where we drove up this mountain, we entered this village, we met these strange, when I say strange, I mean just interesting people. Like we met this like professor and his boyfriend. That's what I'm saying. When you go way out in the sticks,
meet really cool people.
You go way out in the sticks, and then you bump into an English speaker. You're like, "What are you doing here?" And it was like a professor, professor at a college in Spain, and his boyfriend. And we were like, we're just traveling. I'm like, how did we get to this? How do we both get to this village and we're eating Doritos at a hut? You know,
that's what I'm saying.
You're at a hut, and you're like, what do you have to eat? And the guy has like Doritos and soda. Like, do you want that? And I'm like, yeah, I'll take Doritos and soda. But then and I just remember driving back down the hill. I remember driving back down the hill and just being like, the bike felt so dangerous. I told you I had this complex about the bike. The bike felt so fucking dangerous. Like I was so scared about it. And then literally we almost got into an accident, and I jumped off the bike. And the bike, like, we both jumped off the bike. Like the car, that's the accident I saw too. A guy slammed on his brakes in front of us, and I like hopped off of it. I went, whoa. And then the bike like skidded out on the street, and me and the boy were like, the dog I was with, we were like, whoa. And we said, let's go home right now. And we were like, night's over. We went and smoked a cig, and we were like, good to meet you, pal. It's been real. But I remember literally my last night there being like, fuck, I really almost got into an accident on that fucking bike. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that would have been terrible.
If you're going to Thailand, and I recommend it, just be careful with the bikes, man. Be careful with your body.
My story wasn't even, mine was intense, but the
That's
kid
intense.
next to me was from England. Somebody hit him from the back. He ended, and they...
Oh, in the bed. Or into the hospital.
In the room next to me, yeah. And, yeah, at the hospital. But like,
the guy that had to listen to you bang the rugby player.
I know, this little, like, scrawny. He was trying to open, like, a sporting goods place up in Thailand. But, yeah, they took his bike and put it in their truck because, like, you're responsible, too. If you, like, I had to pay the guy who hit me. I had to pay the city of Thailand. And he would come to my room every day and ask me for money. He's like, my boss need money. I'm like, I can't go anywhere. Like, what do you want from me? And I thought I was gonna have to like beat him with a cane. I was like, this guy's gonna try to kill me. This is crazy. I have pictures of him in my room.
That's so wild.
But yeah. Anyway, England kid. The guys put the bike in the back of their truck and then took off and left him to die. He pulled himself up in the grass up a hill, and he had shattered his pelvis and broke both of his hips. And then somebody found him and brought him to the hospital. And it was funny. The nurses hated him though. They're like, "He baby, you strong."
Right, because you were probably not whining. He was probably
no,
whining.
we were having fun. Like it was, and they would always be like, "1 moment, please." Like the little nurses, and like you could ask for anything. Like it was crazy.
You know, I never experienced the hospital there, but I do remember the cleaning staff just having fun with me. I remember because I would take these college classes and I would nap on this bench, and the fucking like the ladies would always be giggling and like dusting me and shit. And the cafeteria people were
They're
so
so
Dude,
nice.
Thailand's a fucking great country.
They call it Land of 1,000 Smiles. I think it's 1,000 smiles, but yeah, everybody's just really friendly. But they're also scary. They'll smile and stab you, smile and like be
I never got to see
kind.
the dark end of Thailand, and I stayed far away from it. Yeah.
Everyone told me don't get in trouble, don't go to prison. So I'm glad I just ended up in a hospital.
There's a fun place to right there. They have there's a dark side of Thailand.
My friend had to go to
be.
the prison to pay my fines, and she said it was one of the scariest like places she'd ever seen.
They've got corruption, they've got gangs, they've got drug dealers, they got all that dark shit. They got sex trade, they've got a whole. I remember I had this one guy on my trip.
Don't give them your passport. A lot of people try to hold your passport as collateral.
Oh yeah, they'll try to scam your ass.
So they say if you go to Thailand, don't give anybody your passport.
Actually, there's a whole there's a whole list you could read online of potential scams. Just keep your wall, especially any traveling. Just keep your Europe too, anywhere in the world, South America. You got to keep your wall up for scams because Americans are rich and $1 is heavy compared to most money in the world. So like one American dollar is 30 of their dollars. So they're looking at you basically like, and you know what's the thing? Because this is the other thing too. In Thailand, they were like, don't tip. They think it's rude, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking tip. Like, I'm sorry. Like they're like, well, don't. Well, then they're gonna think I'm rude then.
Jake, I love that your trip is so innocent. Like that. That's where
I didn't lose a leg. I didn't even.
No, but
anything.
like some of the places, you're not even allowed to order your drink. You actually have to order. You can't order through the bartender. Like some guy or like somebody has to come and take your order and give it like it's a little more dirty. Like
that's what I'm saying. Looking back on it, I kind of really only experienced a narrow bandwidth. I went to the
you never.
I went to the restaurants around my house, and I went to the. There were certain places that were partying.
You didn't go to like any of the sex shows or any of that. Yeah, you're so God.
You know, what's the thing? We
Y'all
almost
are so
did.
Innocent
we almost
and
did one of
sweet.
those ping pong shows, but we had so many girls with us on the trip that we were just like. It was a class of students, so it was a lot of guys, a lot of girls,
all right.
and
That's
we would kind of roll out like, who wants to go party tonight? And like 15 of us would go out drinking and shit. It was it was so, and also it was so fun. Like but yeah, there was a like seediness. There was this one guy on our trip who was like always like obsessed with trying to get laid, and he was so repulsive. And every night we would want to go home, and he's like, I'm gonna stay out. And then he would wake up. He would wake up in the red light district, no shoes, no wallet, have to find his ass home. But I was like, he's like, do you want to go? I'm like, I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass. I really kind of had a pretty nice experience. You know, and we didn't really
strike me as that. Like,
yeah. Well, also, I was so young. Also, it's so funny. I went to like the hooker capital of the world to like go on a religious experience.
Really?
Well, I was like, I went there only for Buddhism. I didn't really know about the hookers as much until
That's pretty cool that you went
I just
there.
left.
Like,
full-blown spiritual experience. Everyone else was trying to like go. You know, I was the only person in my class. Most people were just like, yeah, I want to see the beaches. You know, most people were like, I just want to travel. Some people were very like touristy, like an itinerary. They just have to do everything like it's a list, but they're just like there. You know what I mean? And then I just wanted to like chill out and meditate and shit. I was also like, I took a break from smoking pot at the time because pot's super illegal down there. So I like. Yeah,
everyone told me that. They said I needed to be careful down there.
So I ended up taking like a little tea break, which was nice anyway. Yeah, it was an interesting. It's a beautiful country, but then like I definitely did not lose a leg. I just kind of had like a nice class trip. You know what I mean?
I know.
Would you ever go back, or is just like?
Hell yeah, I would go back.
I would almost say like, but there's also so many other countries I want to go to.
I would get on a motorcycle again too.
You would?
Yeah, absolutely.
I fucking hate motorcycles. I'm a pussy with that shit. that's my Gen Z shit. I'm not getting on a motorcycle. You would though. You'd conquer your fear.
Yeah.
God. don't fucking do that.
Have you ever gone skydiving?
No.
Oh, really?
No, would you? I would not.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Just no need.
I'm a risk seeker. I don't know if I like.
Was it a blast of adrenaline while you did it?
Yeah, I had an Aussie who was tandem jumping with me.
There's always a jacked man in the present. Oh, he was a creep, though.
Like he was just weird. Like he definitely ate dingoes for breakfast. He was like super Aussie man. And then when we were going down, he's like, "How'd you feel about your first orgasm?" I was like, "Good until you said that."
So you said that, yeah. No, with that stuff, I don't really. That's just. I'm just maybe not a thrill seeker. I don't like roller coasters, really.
Really?
No, I don't.
Oh my God, Liv and I watch the videos of people who pass out on roller coasters,
just laugh at them.
Yeah, I die. I'm like, that's wild.
No, the adrenaline. I have so many fears about.
Would you pass out or throw up?
No, I do them. I'm just telling you. I'm just
You just won't?
I'm just imagining the thing breaking. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
I have so many. That's why. I guess it's a nightmare for everybody, but your tale of motor is like my personal worst nightmare.
Huh.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
which is funny because I have friends who think what you do for a living is their personal nightmare.
Exactly
like stand up. Like I know a lot of people that like that's like literally one of their worst fears is to get up on stage and try to be like authentically funny like in themselves.
Yeah.
It's different than acting. You know what I mean?
Sure. Oh, it's so fun. You know, it is. It is.
And then they think like everyone's judging you and no one's like laughing. You know, like you have to have a certain level of. I want to say confidence, but like it's more than that. Like to do that, I couldn't do it.
I remember I loved it.
I would poop my pants.
Part of me thinks you probably.
No way.
I mean, yeah, public speaking. People hate public speaking. I remember in college, I would just people would always get because I was a biology major, so everyone was always so uptight about like doing presentations. I would always go up there and I'd grab the ruler and I would smack the board and whoosh, I would get laughs during my presentations because I would start smacking shit all over the lab. I
love that. I wish I could do that.
Everyone was so nervous. I'm like, no, watch this. And all right, hey everybody, we're talking about cells. Oh man.
I think I'm a conversationalist and not a speaker.
Yeah, and Steph, how did the podcast go? I think we're pretty much at the end. We've done an hour.
Sick.
It was good, right?
Yeah.
So good. We went all types of places.
You make me feel comfy.
We talk literally
nervous.
for hours all the time, right?
Yeah.
Don't we?
It just felt like normal days with you.
Yeah, chilling. Steph, do you have anything you want to plug?
I guess I'd like to plug 3 Wild Spirits. We're about to relaunch, and for the betterment, because spirituality as well as herbalism, I think it's time to reconnect to ourselves and to each other.
Is there like an Instagram anywhere they could go?
Yeah, 3wildspirits.com, or I'm like, hold on.
Yeah, double check the pronunciation. Also, you could text it to me and I'll stick it in the bottom of the video.
Yeah, drop it in the box.
This has been I was gonna say, what do we even call this? What's the name of the episode? I don't know.
I don't know. I'd have to watch it back.
Yeah,
I was just hanging with you, Jake.
Yeah, this has been Jakey's Pod with Steph. Have a good one, everybody.